Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's tutorial we'll be focusing on two things. We modifying the Player UI so that it looks more appealing. We'll be creating key items such as access keys, and we'll be going into a few scripting and so on, and we'll be modifying the door colors to suit whatever keys that we need to open them. Um, One thing I'd like to address, in the last tutorial when we did the minimap, I know persons may have issues in mapping the player free prefab. So what I recommend you do for now is to remove your main player prefab and add just a regular soldier, which can be found under the sci-fi space soldier complete, and it will be under player. So you just add this prefab. So in adding that, all you need to do is um, go back to your camera, and under player here you'll just add this. So basically just end up adding that there, and that, well, don't add it from that section, my bad. Add it from the one you place in the scene, and that will fix the issue. Now, what I've noticed, the multiplayer prefab doesn't actually have a player. Unless you're in play mode, then it would appear. But otherwise from that, it doesn't. So for the time being, just do the regular single player prefab. And later on, we'll address this situation once I do some troubleshooting on my own and figure out how to do it. Then I'll make a video about it. All right, so without further delay, let's jump in. So let's go to our design here. I'll make that a bit bigger. So first thing what we want to do is to change the color of the lights on the door. So let's say this is going to be a blue key required door. So we click our door prefab. All right. Go down to lights, and these are the spotlights. So let's go to here and let's change this to blue. And what we're going to do, we're going to turn up the light intensity so it is a bright blue. And we're going to do the same for the rest. Right. Let's do that. Okay. So let's see how this actually looks. All right, so here we have our blue door. So our next thing we need to do is to create our item. All right, so let's do that. So we're gonna go to our prefab under Sci-Fi Space Soldier Complete folder, and go to items, and we're gonna go to pick up items. So here we're gonna create a prefab from any one of these. So let's use the armor drop. And before proceeding to that, under your Marine Slayer, you're gonna create a new folder, and we're gonna call this game items. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna rename this to, let's call this blue key. We're gonna rename after blue key, and I'm gonna change that to access key. And what we're gonna do is we are going to change the size so that it's nice and thin, so that it looks like an actual key. See if we can get closer. All right. And what else we're going to do is, so we have our shader here that let it be green. So I've downloaded two images from Google. You can create your own images, but just for quick example, we may change this later on in the series. So we have our Doom key here that I downloaded. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring in our Doom key here, and we're going to change our color to a kind of a light blue so you can see the key. Perfect. Then we go to our main prefab, and here we need to get rid of this ammo script. So we're gonna left click, remove component, add component, go down to script, and we're gonna look for the pickup item script. Okay, pickup key. So you add the pickup key, and there's a blue key. So we're gonna let this default to blue key. We're gonna keep that there. So right now this is a blue key. Now we want to be able to open this door with this key. So what we need to do, we need to find that door, and we need to go to door trigger. Remove the lights. All right, panel. So you have the two panels. So you go into panel A, 2. You can rename these, and we want to find where we actually need a key. So Go to here. And we want to make sure that the key setting is set to blue on both of them. So the trigger is blue. So that means without this key, you will not be able to access this panel. Let's make that bigger. We're gonna do a test run. See if I'm going around. Can't do anything. The door is locked. Pick up the key. We can access the panel. Door opens. Now we want to show that the player have pick up the key. Okay, you want to keep track that you already have the blue key or the red key or the yellow key. So to do that, we're going to modify our UI to show all of that. So to make this a lot easier, let's go back down like this. To make this a lot easier, what we're going to do, we're going to click the 2D tab right here in your scene, and that will flip it so you can actually see the HUD. So let's zoom out. So let's move these things around a bit. So we need to go to our player. All right. All right, so go to our canvas. And this is our health. All right, so let's move this and X, put it up there. Now you can put it anywhere you want, but I'm putting it there for this video. And let's see. Just health. I'm assuming that's the weapon. No, it's not. Right, let's open up all of these. All right, there we go. And let's move this up to around there. You can either center it or you can just bring it out to the side. And what we need to do next is to create a different canvas for our key items. So what we're going to do is under the main prefab soldier and right click UI, you're going to do canvas. And let's call this canvas key item. So let's call it keys item. And what we want to do, we're going to create our border. Can do that. Try to make this quite easier. So let's right click UI, create our text, image rather, and let's pull this image right there. And how big do we want to make this? Let's make this 200 and see. And let's make this around 60. Probably 70 will be good. So this will be the background. So let's make the background a little bit bigger. And there we go. Make this 230. It's a little bit too big. All right, 80 should be good. All right, and we're gonna call this item background. And we can use the same background as this one. We're gonna do black. Or to make it simple, you can remove that one and come here, or you can copy this component out. You can come here and you can paste as new, and you'll get that the same shade for everything. So now what we need to do next is to create our key icons. So this to create a raw image. I want to bring in an image from outside, not a material that we created within Unity. So what to do, we're gonna add an image. And image should be centered. So we want to see the image itself. Alright, that's not an image. Let's add a raw image. Let's change this to image. Alright, then let's change the size. And let's pull this up a bit. And you'll see why I don't make it the same size as the border itself. Because with this, I'm gonna bring this in. Alright, so we need one that is transparent. Alright, so I think this one is transparent. Alright, so I'll remove that one. And let's see if I can do this, make this transparent. All right, so that should do that. And then we're going to save this. All right, PNG, so that is transparent. Okay, you can close that. And there we go. So go back to image. We're going to drag this to that, so we have that transparent right there. And let's just adjust this so it's not all stretched out. Okay, can bring that over. And that being said, let's adjust the background. And that should be okay. Go back to our item here, make the adjustments. Perfect. Then we can just drag that off to the side. Okay, and then we can name this our key icons. Right, so now that we have our key icons, we need our values that goes underneath the key. So when you collect a key, you'll know that you have it. So what we'll do, make it easier, we're going to use one of these. So let's make a duplicate of our bullet. So let's duplicate that, and we're going to drag it down under the background, and then we can drag this down right there. So let's start with our blue key first, and we're going to name this blue key. All right, I'm going to duplicate that, and let's call this yellow key. And let's put this right underneath there. And let's duplicate this again, and we'll call this red key. And let's drag that right there. And let's put all our key values to 0. Alright. So now we want to be able to basically connect the numbers from when you pick up an item to this game object. So what we're going to be doing is we go to our player, and our player inventory, that's the script we'll be working with. You see where we have the HUD, and all of these actually show up on the HUD. So we need to add more variables so we can add this section right here. So we're gonna go up, and we're gonna double click on inventory, and we'll bring this up. So this script basically manage the player character itself, from the inventory to damage to everything. So right there on the HUD, where we have the bullets and clip and everything, we're gonna have our key items. So we can go on here, and let's set a heading. Let's call this access keys. And we're gonna have three variables. I already pre-typed, but I'm gonna go through them with you. So here, there are gonna be public variables, so we can um add the game object to them. I'll show you. And we have our hot blue. So you're gonna type public game object hot blue and do same thing in yellow and red. And once you save your script, go back to Unity and we scroll down back into the inventory. Let's wait for it to refresh. We have our blue, yellow, and red. So we're gonna add our blue, yellow, and red. All right. So now, if we should start the scene, the value won't change because we haven't assigned the updated value to these variables, to the game object. So let's go back in. And we need to find in the script when the player picks up a key. So here we have where the key is the variable is basically defined. So you highlight it, Control F, and let's find where the player picks up a key, which is all the way down into line 804, where when the player picks up a key, +1 is added to the variable. So we need to assign this value to the game object itself. So one thing we need to do for that, we need to add another reference, and the reference is going to be the Unity UI reference. Because what we're going to do, we're going to be accessing the UI component, which is the game object. Right, so we're gonna go using Unity engine .ui. That's what we're gonna need, and we're gonna go back down to where the item is picked up. I can close this, and I'm gonna add to space, and I'll show the line that you need to use. It will also be in the description, both script lines that I use. Okay, and we're gonna have those two script lines right there. And what these lines actually do, so we have the game object, which is either the blue, yellow, or the red, and we're gonna transform the game object because we have to access the text component that's attached. So if we go back to the blue key game object, we need to access this component right here. So to access that, we do transform game object, get component, and because we're using the text, so we're gonna get that component and we're gonna assign the value of the blue key. We're gonna turn it into a string. And we're gonna assign that string value to the game object. So if we save this, and if we should miss that, okay. So I need to lock this, which I will do that. Okay, I will lock that in a bit. So if we start our scene, and if we go for our blue key, see our blue key goes up to 1. So we have our blue key. And with our blue key, we can enter any door that requires a blue key. And you can close any door also that requires a blue key. So if the other door up here required a red key, we would not be able to open it. And we can test that real quick. It's a kind of a lengthy video, but we'll give it a quick test. So we're going to switch from 2D and we're going to go back to our scene. Okay, must be an easier way to do this. Let's see right here. All right, just by double clicking on the object, it zooms right in. All right, so we're gonna go there, and we're gonna go to the trigger. And let's turn this to a red key, and we're gonna do the same thing for the other panel. Use a trigger, turn to a red key. So if we try to access that door, so our key. So this door would require a red key, and because we don't have a red key, we can't access it. But we do have a blue key, so we can access that panel. All right, and there we have it. So that will conclude our tutorial for today. So what we have done, we have create key item and manipulate our UI. And one thing you may want to do before I forget, so we create our key, and we're going to want to reuse this key later down in the game. Okay, it's easier to modify this than to go through the old process again. So what we'll do, so we have our game item, that folder that we create there, we're gonna click our key and drag it to that item. So we'll have this key prefab that we can place anywhere throughout the level, and it's already have all the modification to it. So what this will allow you to do is if you want to have a red key or whatever, we can modify this into a different color key to add to the game itself. Okay, and also I think we did some modification to the player prefab. So under player, we can save this prefab also, and we can even rename it to player SP for single player. since it's not the multiplayer prefab, and we can do the same to this. Okay. All right. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you have any questions or anything, you can put it down below, and I'll be glad to answer it. All right. So see you again in the next series. And in that series, I'm not quite sure what we'll be covering, but we'll cover something that will help us to progress through this game. Thank you for watching.